Hello and welcome to this session in which we will discuss bond markets. What's a bond market? It's where bonds are traded. Most likely you heard of stocks. Well, the bond market is massive. It's very large. It's larger than the stock market when it comes to trading volume. But what happened in the real world is the stock market gets more media attention. Although the bond market have more money exchanging hands daily. So from a monetary perspective, the US Treasury market alone dominates global trading, which is US Treasury market is form of bonds. Now we're going to look at where bonds are traded and why not bonds are not as glamorous. The bond market, why not as glamorous as the stock market? It's very important to know this. Then we'll discuss briefly the volume, how bonds are traded, how you can look up the price, what's the difference between a dirty and a clean price. Let's go ahead and get started. Before we proceed any further, I have a public announcement about my company, FarhatLectures.com.
Our corporate finance course is best for online students and students who are taking corporate finance courses. We cover financial statements, discounted cash flow, stock valuation, bond valuation, NPV and capital investment decisions, cost of capital, risk and return, as well as other topics. Our course include lectures as well as multiple choice questions. Go ahead and start your free trial today. No obligation. We are here to help. Your success starts here.
The first thing I want to discuss is why the bond market is large. It has a large volume. Well, there are two reasons why. One is the issuer variety. A company might issue just one or few types of stocks like common stock and preferred stock, but it can have dozens of even hundreds of different types of bonds. So the types of securities, you could issue more debt securities than stocks. That's one reason. There are variety in terms of maturity, coupon rate, seniority. It's basically a contract and each bond is a different type of a security. The other reason is borrower variety. Unlike stocks, bonds are issued by many types of borrowers. Well, mainly corporation, but corporation also issue stocks. But you have cities, school district, counties, federal government. So you have many other entities, specifically government entities, in addition to private corporation that issue stock, that issue bonds, and those bonds are traded. So this diversity increases the number of outstanding bonds. Now the next thing we want to know is where are bonds traded? Okay, we know that stocks, it's the New York Stock Exchange, it's the NASDAQ. How about bonds? Where are bonds traded? Bonds are traded over the counter system, and this is one of the reasons they don't get a lot of media attention and they're not glamorous because not everyone understand or have access to over the counter. What's over the counter? It's a computer system where traders are buying and selling stocks. It's not centralized. The bond trading does not happen on a centralized exchange like the New York Stock Exchange or NASDAQ. Those are centralized. All the trades go there and they get cleared there. Instead, bond trading happens over the counter, OTC market, meaning trades are negotiated directly between dealers, investors, buyers, and sellers. So you as an individual or as a trader or as a broker, you go on the computer system. There's a computer system over the counter. As long as you pay, you have access to it. You know what's happening. You know what's happening in that market, and you find buyers and sellers to deal with. And because of this, bonds transactions are less transparent. What does it mean less transparent? It means we don't know what's happening to the price in real time. We don't know what's happening to all prices at the same time. For example, right now, if we go to look up a price for a particular company, we can know exactly what that price is. And for the sake of illustration, I'm going to go on Finance Yahoo and look up a price for a company for the sake of illustration and show you the transparency in stock trading. So if we go to Finance Yahoo and we look up a company called Rigetti Computing, the symbol RGTI, which is a cloud computing company, we can see right now it's trading at $11.58. All the information is giving the volume, 52-week high, 52-week low, the bid price, the ask price, the volume, everything you can see here. Now, there's no such market that exists, and this is basically a NASDAQ. It's over the NASDAQ. It's a centralized, but it's electronic. There's no such thing as a similar transparent market to bonds. The bonds are traded over the counter. And this is what we mean by transparency. Transparency means you don't see everything live that's happening at the same time. As each trade is negotiated privately, leading to less transparency. And this makes it harder for investors to get up-to-the-minute pricing, especially for less attractive or older bonds. Because if you want to buy and sell, you want to get the best price, the latest price. For the stock, you always have this. For the bonds, that's not available. And if it's available, you have to do a lot of work because it's over the counter. You have to find the dealer, the investor, the broker, collect more information. And that's why the bond market is not as glamorous and it's not as well known to you and I, regular people, as the stock market. To work on making this market a little bit more transparent, FINRA created this system called Trading, Reporting and Compliance Engine, TRACE. This was introduced by FINRA. It requires dealers to report corporate bonds trade, allowing to greater visibility, so less transparency, into bond prices and volume. And TRACE is handled by FINRA. And I'm going to show you what FINRA looks like. But before we look at it, on FINRA, you could look up bonds by issuer, view their coupon rate, maturity date, trading prices, credit rating, as well as other information. This helps investor compare similar bond and assess market trends. So let's take a look at a TRACE system just to show you how it works. So now I'm on the finra.org website, and I'm going to look up an issuer. I'm going to look up, for the sake of illustration, Apple computers. I'm going to show the results for the bonds that they have. I mean, you could do all sorts of filtering, but I just look it up for the sake of looking up a bond. I notice they have different types of bonds. Apple 40011809. That's the ticker symbol specifically for that bond. The coupon rate. If you want to know the maturity rate, here's the maturity rate. If you want to know more about this bond, you click on it, and it's going to tell you a little bit more. For example, the last trading price for this bond is 99.93. So this is important. Bonds are traded as a percentage of the par value. So now this bond is traded at 99.93%, or if you want to buy a bond, you'll pay 99.93 of its price, which is it's as a discounted price at this time. So remember, the bond is a percentage of the par. This is the coupon rate, this is the maturity date, this is the last trade yield, what's its yielding, yield to maturity. This bond is callable. There's different type of feature bonds, and it shows you here the history, what's happening to that bond. You can see what's happening to that bond. If there's any bond rating for this bond, it shows you here. Sometimes you might have to pay extra for this, but this is what it shows you. It shows you information about the bond, but remember, the bonds are traded as a percentage of the par value. Let's look up another Apple bond. Maybe it will show us a different price to show you the pricing, how the pricing are listed. Let me take a look at this bond. This bond is traded, last traded price, I guess this one already matured. That bond already matured. So let's look up a bond that did not mature yet. Let's just look up anything. Let's look up this one here. Okay, last trading, this is 102.52. This 102.52 is trading at a premium. It means 102.52% of the price. So if you want to buy, let me just kind of show you what I mean by bond pricing. So what should you do now? Whether you are an accounting student, finance student, CPA, CMA, CFA exam candidate, go to Farhat Lectures to look at additional resources, lectures, multiple choice. That's going to help you whether you are a student or studying for a professional certification. The best investment you can make is invest in yourself. Good luck and stay safe.